Coming to you from Reason Alliance Media, this is episode 23, a reading from two feminists. I'm Miss B. Haven.
I'm Amanda Wright.
And we're promoting secular feminism.
In this week's episode, Feminism 101 questions the Kyriarchy. Miss B discusses and pays tribute to the victims of Orlando. We have a teeny bit of news, and there's this comedy sketch, don't worry. This week, it's Maleman's Man-Ease spread. Can't wait for that.
Ta-da.
It's time for Feminism 101. When poor little Princess Sparklefart's luminous and flatulence helps you navigate the mysterious, murky, and malcontented world of those damn man-haters. Often, very often, I rant about aspects of anti-feminism I don't understand. But today, I want to calmly question an aspect of feminism that I don't quite get yet. I'd like to discuss a word I've found frequently on the feminist blogosphere, the Kyriarchy.
The what?
The Kyriarchy.
Sounds like it's a Greek mythology.
It's not kaiju?
No.
Not
Is that anime?
Not a kraken or anything?
No, it's neither anime nor mythology.
Okay.
The blog, My Ecdysis, takes credit for introducing the term to the blogosphere in 2008, and it comes from the work of Elizabeth Schussler-Fiorenza. Schussler-Fiorenza means the word to be a feminist replacement for patriarchy, because it would include the myriad and intersected ways people experience oppression, including sexism, racism, homophobia. I said homophobia. That's like
Possibly that too.
Reaction to
Homies.
naturopathic medicine. Oh, this is going downhill. Okay, My Ecdysis claims that her article on Kyriarchy
Did
has
you say
now...
ectoplasm?
That's the name she chose for her blog.
Oh, I thought you were
Not
talking about the ghost.
ectoplasm.
I thought you were talking about the Ghostbusters now.
It's like a biological term for... I better look it up, but I think it's like shedding your skin or something. That could be really wrong. People are hating me now. I think that's what it means. Okay. That her article on Kyriarchy has now been cited nearly 50 times in other articles and posts. It appears on one of my favorite blogs, Everyday Feminism, in the article by Cian Ferguson entitled Kyriarchy 101, we're not just fighting the patriarchy anymore. Ferguson claims feminism has moved on from being purely concerned with male privilege, and we need a word to describe the complex social order that keeps intersecting oppression in place. Ferguson then directly connects the word to Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectional feminism. She makes several very good points about Kyriarchy, including that it doesn't erase non-binary people because it's a non-gendered term, that one can both benefit and be oppressed by the same system, and that gender isn't the only way in which people are oppressed. All very true. Additionally, it seems the perfect solution for the men out there who feel targeted by the term patriarchy, those who feel it's a wee bit insulting, the hashtag not all men type.
Oh, I feel oppressed in this podcast.
You're supposed to be oppressed.
As well you should.
Okay.
We're deriving humor from your oppression.
Okay. Somebody help me.
Somebody come rescue him. It's a shout out to the universe.
RescueMrRight.com.
Nietzsche Hodgson wrote in a piece for The Guardian entitled The Patriarchy is Dead, but the Kyriarchy Lives On, that Kyriarchy has the potential to settle the age-old argument about privileged feminism once and for all. Perhaps that's why it's so frightening to those that balk at the term, end quote. The term seems especially powerful, say, for the way in which a homosexual, economically struggling black man would have a more difficult time with systemic prejudices than, say, a wealthy white woman. The term has been championed online and in academic journals, especially by people who find the term more accurately reflects their lived experiences. If people who experience oppression in more ways than I do tell me the term is helpful, then I really want to get on board.
That's called marriage, isn't it? Oppression?
Marriage is oppression. Probably a lot of people would agree with you.
Well, yeah.
We can talk about the historical arc of marriage if you like in another segment.
That's another episode.
Okay.
That would make a really good Write that down. That's a good segment, OJ.
I need to do that.
As a secular feminist, however, I have a reservation about the term's origin. Elizabeth Schussler-Fiorenza is a Christian feminist theologian who coined the term in her book, but she said feminist practices of biblical interpretation. She's a professor in the Harvard Divinity School, and she knows a whole fucking lot more about the Bible than I do. However, from what I can gather at this point, her work seems to be about making Catholicism seem more feminist by offering arguments about Paul in the New Testament. Paul may seem misogynistic. What with the passages about women's subordination and their silence in the church.
That's just only right.
Yeah, all of that sit down and be seen, not heard stuff.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That goes along with marriage.
Yeah. Schussler-Fiorenza says this isn't the true Paul. No, no, no. The true Paul saw women as equals, both as people and in the ministry. This is what she claims. She particularly loves the apocryphal Acts of Paul and Thecla and calls Galatians 3:28. There is no longer Jew or Greek. There is no longer slave or free. There is no longer male or female. For all of you are one in Christ Jesus. A core theological verse.
Is that not pronounced 3 Galatians?
3. Galatians 3.
A reading from 2 feminists.
Essentially, her argument is that Paul was trying to make nice with the communities he was working with, and he didn't really mean the mean things he said, but the church ran with these misogynistic aspects anyway. Damn church.
They're always doing stuff.
As a secularist, I'm worried about any term that has its origins in Christian apologetics, especially one that tries to convince me that Paul wasn't a misogynistic cockwomble. I'm trying out the Scottish insults levied at Donald Trump via Twitter. I'm going to just pepper them in all my segments from now on.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it.
I am even more concerned that the term lets Christianity off the hook for the way in which Sunday sermons often act as one of the primary ways in which women internalize gender oppression in some communities. Instead, we're to focus on biblical interpretation to highlight the importance of women to the earthly church. To the early church. I said earthly church. Oh, blasphemous.
That's a different thing entirely.
To highlight the importance
isn't it?
of women to
Probably,
the
yes.
early church. In a secular community in which the very existence of patriarchy is often denied, in which it is argued women have already achieved full equality and self-determination, I'm not sure I'm done with the word patriarchy. And I'm sure to get nowhere with a word created by a Christian apologist that would etymologically mean Lord, Master, and to lead or govern. It sounds like I'm asking for Jesus to take the wheel.
Or you're addressing me while we're still in the bedroom.
Oh, please. He has fantasies. He just, I tell him he shouldn't have
I'm not
so
sure
many
this
fantasies.
podcast is the place to start talking about them.
Besides, feminism has already been discussing what Patricia Hill Collins calls interlocking systems of oppression. As she explains, the notion of interlocking oppressions refers to the macro level connections linking systems of oppression such as race, class, and gender. I'm still quoting. This is the model describing the social structures that create social positions. Second, the notion of intersectionality describes micro level processes, namely how each individual and group occupies a social position within interlocking structures of oppression described by the metaphor of intersectionality. Together they shape oppression, end quote. Feminists have been quite successful both in their theorizing and in their activism addressing all the concerns without the word kyriarchy. But if people really need the word, I need to get out of the way. If it's valuable in increasing activism, if it resonates personally with women, then maybe I should just overlook its original sin? I'm new to the term, so maybe I don't understand the nuance yet. For now, I'll stick a pin in this discussion while I think about it some more.
That you sticking a pin in it.
That's what it was.
I am usually of the opinion that if there is a label and it can be found useful in a discussion or paper, something of that sort, then it's probably useful enough to be a part of our language to do with whatever subject that is. Because there are so many labels for things that we don't use on a day-to-day basis that are actually quite useful.
Like douche
but
nozzle.
we're not particularly talking about that.
Douche
that at the
nozzle
time.
is your label.
Right,
You
yeah.
own it.
Well, I mean, like there was a article going around on Facebook about how this guy was like, why does my autocorrect recognize cisgender as a word, and what is it? And like he was obviously coming from a place of privilege in that he had never come across that word in everyday speech. But it is a useful term to talk about that you are identifying with one particular gender, one gender in a supposed binary, and that you don't have any sort of gender fluidity in your identity. So I think that probably something like the Kyriarchy may end up getting to the point where it becomes more useful in discussions about feminist theory and such. Especially if we talk more about it, which we are doing right now.
Right. I think it's quite popular in the blogosphere, and there are some academic articles on it, not nearly as many as the group who sort of is in the lineage of intersectional feminism in academia. They tend to use sort of the longer phrase,
That's what he
interlocking
said.
systems. The longer you're out of control this evening.
You're out of
Mr.
your
Wright.
league.
You're just out of control.
We were talking about longer. That's what he said.
You're out of your league, Donnie.
It's like, wait a minute. We're talking about interlocking systems of oppression, but please, just a moment while I talk about my penis. What is that?
I mean, Trump was doing that, so,
It's what men do.
obviously
Just a moment.
Mr. Wright
Let me
has
tell you about my dick.
ambitions to be president.
I would vote
Obviously.
for him. I really would.
I would vote for me.
I would not at all. Jeez.
There would
Excuse
be
me.
Me over
do
Trump?
You, well, okay. I would vote for you over Trump.
See, I win.
He knows how to bake peanut butter cookies.
Damn.
There would be
that's a
fresh
good skill.
cookies all the time
Yeah.
in the White House. I mean, I know you could get people to do it for you at that point, but I feel like that's a valuable skill to have.
It is. Especially if you can do those 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies.
I mean, he could just
Mr. Haven can do some pretty sweet cookies.
slay Vladimir Putin with those peanut butter cookies. I mean, there would be world peace.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Solution.
Talent.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wright for president. We are totally off
I have
topic.
no idea
think
what we
it
were
might be
talking
time
about.
for-
You were talking about how longer it was.
No, I wasn't.
You were talking about
The
the
Kyriarchy.
longer phrase that's used in place of the term kyriarchy.
Oh,
Kyriarchy.
intersectional, interlocking. I'm picturing penises in my head right now.
That's what
all
I'm here for.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing Lincoln logs,
I know.
which is not helpful at all.
All I can picture are penises.
Now they're Lincoln log penises.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Connecting.
Okay, I
have
think it's
officially
time for
done
the
my
safe
job
word.
now.
I think it's time for the
What?
safe word.
Uh,
Let's do this.
Bananas.
Bananas in pajamas.
Coming. Down the stairs.
The strap on.
Being built into a log cabin.
You can find our episodes on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, and you can plug our RSS feed into your favorite podcast apps such as Podcast or Podbean. Our RSS feed can be found on our website, which is promotingsecularfeminism.com. On social media, you can find us on facebook.com/promotingsecularfeminism and Twitter, we're at secularfeminism. If you'd like to contact us, you can leave us a comment on our website, get in touch on Facebook or Twitter. Or you can email us at promotingsecularfeminism@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you with any questions, comments, or corrections you might have. Talk to your local feminist to find out if promoting secular feminism is right for you. If after listening to this episode you experience butt hurt for more than 4 hours, consult your physician. This does not include the after effects of being fucked in the ass because you love Jesus.
As you may have heard, we've got ReasonCon 3 coming up in 2017, and we have announced the dates for that conference. It will be April 20th through the 22nd, 2017, and it will be at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Hickory, North Carolina, as it has been for a couple of years now. Our keynote speaker will be Lawrence Krauss, and we also have Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Ra, Callie Wright, and we'll have a bunch more people coming. So definitely keep checking in for more information. You can visit reasonnc.com, or if you want to find out more up-to-the-date information, go to @ReasonConNC on Twitter to find out that information. And we hope to see you there, as this will be Promoting Secular Feminism's first official appearance at a secular conference. See you there. Women are increasingly living religion-free lives and embodying the values of humanism and skepticism in their activism and professional work. There is an upcoming Women in Secularism conference. This will be the fourth of its kind, which will bring together a diverse lineup of speakers to address what it means to be a woman in secularism, not just in theory, but in practice. Come be a part of this important conversation. It will be September 23rd through the 25th, 2016 in Arlington, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. And this conference is proudly presented by the Center for Inquiry. If you want to find out more information, visit womeninsecularism.org. And we are hoping that we might be able to get a Ms. Behaven and Demand a Right out there. So definitely check that out, because we are really interested in trying to get there. Just a warning to anybody who is having a really hard time with the events that occurred in Orlando. I would suggest turning off this podcast now, because we are going to be discussing it. In the early hours of Sunday, June 12th, 2016, 49 people lost their lives in the Pulse bar/club in Orlando, Florida. We don't really have any good reasons to know why the shooter did what he did, and it's unlikely that we will. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our experiences with how we've dealt with this so far. It's been, when we're recording this, it's been almost 2 weeks since the shooting, and the Democrats just did a sit-in, which was great, but nothing happened so far. And so that's where we are right now. We're recording this on the 25th of June. So I just wanted to discuss a little bit about our experiences dealing with this tragedy, and also recorded a song in memory of the victims of the shooting. After I found out about this horrible event, I actually found out about it while I was editing a PSF episode in the studio. I was going through it and started to see reports and news things come up on Facebook, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. I suppose that probably happens a lot in these sorts of situations. But a few days later, once I started to kind of process what had happened, I found this really great article on medium.com that was written by Elle Dowd, and I just want to read to you a little bit about what she says here. She wrote an article that's called Biphobia and the Pulse Massacre, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. She says, "When I read about Orlando, I was surrounded by straight people. Well-meaning straight people, yes. Allies, yes. But straight people all the same. I was surrounded by straight people because I was at my house with my husband and my daughter. I spend a lot of time around straight people. That's what I get for marrying a cishet man. But I noticed it more today than I have any other morning. When I heard the news, I started counting down the time until I could be around queer people." I had a lot of the same experience in processing what's happened in Orlando. I am a bisexual woman who is married to a cishet man, and spend a lot of time around cishet people, much more so, I think, than I did, especially in high school and college. At my high school, I started a gay-straight alliance so that my friends and I would have a safe place to be ourselves around each other and to talk about the issues of coming out and, finding our identities as far as gender and sexual orientation. In community college, I was part of the Gay Straight Alliance as well. And at the university where I went to school, I was very much a part of the Gay Straight Alliance to the point where we would go out for drinks and appetizers and stuff after every meetup that we had on campus. And they started to feel like family. And since I've lived in North Carolina, which I moved down here from Michigan just after finishing my time at university, and I've not really gotten involved with the LGBTQ community here, and I'm really feeling it right now. And I felt that maybe it's time that I start to get involved there. I've been very highly involved in the Hickory Humanist Alliance here, and ReasonCon, and starting this podcast and everything, but I've not been involved with my queer family, and it's something that I really need to do, but didn't realize until now. I think that has also affected some other people similarly. I saw the other day that Evan Rachel Wood had posted a video talking about her sexuality and giving some really personal stories about coming into her own as a bisexual woman. And it's a really great video if you're looking for support. And I highly suggest that you watch that after you listen to this podcast. I will post that in the show notes as well. She talks about a lot of issues that bisexual women in particular have, like mental health issues are such a big problem with bisexual people, let alone women who are more likely to have mental health issues. So I've had a really difficult time. I missed the vigil that was happening in my area, but our Hickory Humanist Alliance president was actually contacted to do a speech at the vigil that was going to be taking place at our local gay bar. And I just wanted to have God read a little bit of that speech since I ended up missing it.
The founder of the Hickory Humanist Alliance was asked to speak at a vigil at the local gay club in Hickory, North Carolina. This was the speech that he gave. I am finding it difficult to find words to express my grief that a tragedy like this has taken place, much more that it would be done for intolerant and hateful reasons. We here at the Hickory Humanist Alliance want to make it clear that we stand with the LGBT community and offer support and understanding. We offer a safe haven for people who prefer a humanist and non-theistic approach to enriching the lives of all people. Every member of our organization supports the rights of all individuals to live their life free from oppression and most certainly free from violence, simply because their life choices, orientations, and or beliefs do not coincide with someone else's. As long as one stance doesn't negatively impact another, there is no issue. However, this was not what happened that night in a nightclub in Orlando, Florida. One individual decided he had the right to drastically and tragically impact the lives of hundreds of people. But I'm not here to speak about the cause. I'm here to speak about the effect. Finding meaning in a meaningless act is difficult, perhaps impossible, and even mostly unnecessary. But even though the act itself was most definitely meaningless, the lives of those affected were most certainly not meaningless. Children's TV host Mr. Rogers is quoted as saying, "When I was a boy, and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in the world. As humanists, this is our reclamation of humanity during tragic events. We watch as people rally around those most affected. They offer support, love, and empathy, understanding and taking note that caring, loving attributes of humanity manifest in far greater numbers and with far greater strength than the hate and the violence. We stand up and take action. As learning from our mistakes, we learn from these acts how to be better humans, how to step forward and work towards making the world a better place. Maybe it will be many years before we eliminate intolerance, before we eliminate violence based on discrimination and hate. But we must not allow one more death to be in vain. We can't forget. We can't go back. We must go forward.
So I missed out on that vigil, and I really regret missing out on it because the only one that was happening after that point was a memorial service for the victims of Orlando, as well as, sort of an anniversary memorial for the victims of the shooting in Charleston a year prior. And it was at a religious university's chapel, and I went there just hoping to have a chance to mourn and to process what had happened. And Mr. Haven had suggested that I bring my mother. And I wasn't sure how that was going to go. I had a lot of difficulty initially in high school and in college talking with my mother about being bisexual. And I think the suggestion to bring her to this memorial may have been part of healing that wound, as well as healing from this particular tragedy. I'm not sure that I ever really felt like my mom accepted that I am bisexual, even though I'm married to a cishet man. I think that was probably a big relief for her, but I needed some closure. I needed to heal. And so we went to the service together, and the entire thing was just embarrassing for me. I was glad to be there in that a lot of the messages were that we should love each other, and it was very humanist in nature, like we're all people, but then it would be we're all children of God, and talking about how the power of prayer is evidenced by the people being there in the church, except that the power of prayer didn't stop 49 people from being slaughtered in the Pulse Club. So that really made me angry, listening to how the power of prayer was somehow helping when all these people had died for no reason. And, I sang the songs, and they talked about how, all these people were there who were black, white, Latino, Latina, gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, as far as we know, were probably there as well. And everybody had come together for that, except that there were only a small percentage of the seats filled in the chapel. And it didn't really feel like there was a lot of unity there for me, being a non-believer, being bisexual. But the person that really got me was a lesbian woman who stood up and talked about her difficulties with facing her own homosexuality, and how a pastor there had helped by telling her to read the scripture and make up her own mind about it. And her decision was to be herself. And I found that really refreshing, because not a lot of people would have come to that conclusion based on the Bible and what it says about homosexuality. But she really spoke to the LGBT community specifically, and I had really needed that during that service. But the thing that was the most meaningful to me was at the end of the service, they had everybody in the entire chapel stand up, get toward the front, link arms, and sing, "We Shall Overcome." And that was the part that really made a statement to me that this was meant to be unifying. Whether or not it actually did in the language of the service, it was meant to be unifying. And I was, of course, bawling by that point. And my mom was too. And it was a really nice moment that I really needed, but I still didn't quite feel like I was included in that service. So it's been a tough time. And I've had a lot of difficulty talking about it and understanding it, but also have felt like I needed to put myself out there as a bisexual woman who is married to a cishet man, that, you know, if you met me on the street, you wouldn't go, "Oh, hey, she's queer." Because I'd have a man on my arm. And not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, because I don't have to deal with people calling me names, and I don't have to be afraid to hold my husband's hand in public. I don't have to be afraid of kissing my husband in public. That it's not going to piss anybody off. But it also means that to other queer folk, I'm not as visible. And I feel like maybe I should make myself visible in the community and start to get involved again with the people who have been my family in the past when things have been really rough. So I'm going to get involved in whatever way I can.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
It's not fucking news.
So it's not news that advertisements tend to be a bit sexist and that no man ever admitted to manspreading.
What?
We have a couple of news stories. We were recently on that Imaginary Friends show. That's not the news. But we were on there and I had to do a news story, so I thought I'd share here. My news story comes from the BBC from the 22nd of June this year. Unilever is going to use less sexist advertising. Less sexist. Like not sexist.
Like 1% less or like 10% less?
Little bit less. We need some
That's super helpful.
sexisms. Yeah. So, you know.
So instead of making it 8 inches, they're going to just give you 6.
Oh.
But they had this extraordinary revelation, and they actually say they uncovered some extraordinary things. And these things include the fact that 40% of women say they don't identify with the women they see in advertising.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, they're all in the kitchen eating a pint of mint chocolate chip ice cream after a bad breakup.
You know what they're
Boo.
doing? They're laughing while they eat salads.
They're laughing and eating that. That's very true, too.
Most of the people
never
you see,
happens.
With the little spritz dressings.
Yeah.
Well, most of the people
no.
you see on those advertisements are probably an 80-pound woman or something, too.
True. The firm behind more than 400 brands, from Ben & Jerry's ice cream to Dove soap, has pledged to remove sexist stereotypes from its own ads and called on rivals to follow suit, says this article. And this is very important because they're the second biggest advertiser globally. And if they decide to do this and can get all of their competitors and other businesses on board, it should make a big difference in the way that women are pictured in advertisements.
Now, you are talking about the BBC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, America ain't going to do that shit.
Unilever advertises in the U.S. They own Ben & Jerry's.
They are a huge brand in the U.S.
Yeah,
Aren't
they own Dove soap.
They have
Sex
Axe body
sales.
spray too, don't they?
Axe body spray, they do.
Yeah.
Sex sales.
So you can spray on that Axe body spray and
And it will attract nothing because it doesn't. It's awful. Stop
Run.
using it.
And it's strong as hell, too.
Oh, this is becoming an anti-Unilever segment. But
I'm
they did a
sorry.
really great job with the Dove soap campaign, right? Because they depicted all different body types of women.
Well, that's good.
So they've done some work there, and that was
All-inclusive.
actually very successful. And what they're arguing is that this can also be good business sense because it actually increased the sales in their Dove brand when they did this before.
Well, I feel bad about the Axe body spray because they always show a guy with a 6-pack or 8-pack.
You feel left out.
I got a fucking keg here. Come on.
You want to see a guy with a keg
Getting Axe body spray.
spraying those pits.
Yes.
I totally would. I mean, if you're talking about getting rid of, sexist things, but also like body shaming, then you should have the same standards for the male products as you do for the female products.
Thank you very much.
And you should also have people of other genders using them too, because they
Yes.
do.
Exactly.
It's stupid not to think that. I mean, there are guys who use Dove. There are women or female people who use Axe. So that's reality. It's not made up. And frankly, I think they would probably sell a lot more if they would just make it a little more realistic.
I think so.
I mean,
Why
it was
are
a
we
huge
looking
deal
at
when
butts?
Dove did that campaign with all of the
I
women
missed
with the
that.
different.
I was sidetracked
Dove was a
with
huge
Dove, yes.
deal when they were doing that campaign with all the women of different body types and stuff and different ethnic backgrounds and things. And it was great. And people were talking about it and making fun of it, but it sold the product. And that's the
Yes.
point, is that it was such a big deal that applying that to other products should not be crazy.
Well,
Like
I'm just
that-
saying that
I think
most of
that's
the
a great
people,
idea.
Most of the people that I know are not like 8-pack or 6-pack, and everything, and it would make a big difference if.
Do men have different amounts of muscles?
I've seen people with 8-pack.
A 19 pack.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is. Well, this is the study that sort of stated all of the obvious things. They found that almost all women, 90%, felt they were presented as sex symbols, and a third of women said advertisements showed women as perceived by men, and they found that only 3% of their ads featured women in managerial or professional roles.
I'd also really like to see
Epic
them
fail.
stop making men seem completely stupid in ads. I really hate that.
Why?
Not helpful, penis gallery.
You just got a
Not
double whammy
helpful.
of glares. That was amazing.
I got
That was-
scared.
The silence for a moment there was
that
the
was a
evil
with
eye.
piercing glares.
my
from both
penis
ends.
withered and went turtle.
In the most boring campaign ad name ever, they dubbed this unstereotype. Like, we need to
Project
Yes,
Unstereotype.
Project Unstereotype. We need to
It's like-
sprinkle a little sparkle fart on that.
Yeah, no kidding. That's really sad. It's like Project Unstereotype. Wah, wah.
How about all inclusive, you fuckers?
Yeah,
All inclusive, you fuckers.
I like that.
Project
I can-
all inclusive, you fuckers.
Yeah, that would get your attention, would it
Yeah,
not?
that would.
I
do it.
like that.
So,
Oh no, I got one. Hey asshole, you're here too.
There we go.
That totally works. We're using that from now on.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Asshole,
You're welcome,
and it works.
Unilever.
Unilever
In the asshole.
has made a couple of ads since this point. In one of their ads, there was a mother and daughter in the kitchen cooking. So this is old school Unilever.
That's also stereotyping.
New school Unilever shows a father and son cooking.
That's bullshit.
Why is that?
Yeah, right.
Why is that bullshit?
My dad never cooked. He still doesn't.
Okay, well, some men do cook.
I'll have you know, Mr. Haven is a wonderful cook.
Well, I am a wonderful
He's
cook.
a pretty good cook too. But you know what? I just
And
feel like
his
they could
father is the cook in their family.
Oh, that's
His
cool.
mother
be
never
more
cooks.
creative. You know, instead of just taking out the women and substituting in the men, like they could really jazz up these advertisements a bit.
Yeah,
Well, how about having
could
the
give
whole
them some
damn
ideas.
family in there helping out?
which is probably more likely than just having one or the other
Exactly.
parents.
I think they
I mean,
should all
if
be
you're going to have
naked.
children
Yes.
handling
Wait a minute. That's the way I
knives
I cook.
and things.
Eating Ben and Jerry's ice cream and lathering each other up in Dove soap. We get to that one
That's
commercial.
a terrible combination. No, you are going to end up with a spoon jabbed in the back of your throat. No. Bad idea. Ice cream, then wrestling, or wrestling, then ice cream. Not both.
I was
thought my
thinking of
idea
accidentally
was
licking the
exciting.
dove.
Trust me on this.
She's tried that. It didn't work. But if there's video footage, you could send it to Unilever.
Yes, that's true. They'll probably use it in a commercial.
I have another piece of news.
Lay it on us.
What is it?
The New York City subway system decided they needed to get on all of the bad conduct happening on the subway system in New York City. So there's disorderly exits, which means like when you come up to the doors, all of the in people are supposed to go out before the out people go in.
That
You
makes
know,
sense.
just so there's
Yes,
a good
people
flow
on
of
the
people.
train are supposed to leave first, and then the people getting on the train get on.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, that makes sense.
And that's not usually what happens. People
Oh, no.
crowd and
People,
want to
like,
rush.
Rush into each other and then knock each other over. It's terrible.
And
terrible.
the other problem that they noticed they were having was man spreading.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Well, I'm man spreading now on the sofa.
You man spread all the time. It's unfortunate. But people, and by people,
I look over here and Mr. Haven's leg is just all over that couch. Or no, sorry, Mr. Wright,
I was going to say,
which is
Mr. Haven's not
your
here.
one, not my one. I get confused about them sometimes. I
can
don't
have
know
that
which
one.
is which. I've already got one.
you don't need another one.
I'm busy.
Well, of course, men said, man spreading, that's not a problem. Nobody does that ever. And they said it was so sexist. And they got really mean, nasty messages, the New York City transit system. Frankly, this new advertisement is ridiculous. Manspreading is hardly a legitimate problem, nor is it limiting all that much space on the subway. So it doesn't happen, and it's not really taking up that much space if it does happen. This new ad campaign is morbidly sexist and seeks to shame men for something for something so extremely innocuous. Extremely innocuous.
So when it's rush hour and you're taking up 4 seats because you've got your limbs all everywhere,
Oh,
that's
he's not
totally
done.
not a problem.
He's not done.
Oh, no.
If manspreading is such a ludicrous epidemic, I should reasonably ask why purse seating wasn't an equivalent problem.
Probably
Women.
because you'd be a little concerned about it being taken on a
You
subway.
know you're putting your purse in your shopping bags because all you do is go around spending your money out of your purse and getting all those shopping bags and putting them in the seats next to you. Men aren't manspreading. Women are purse seating.
I mean, I do that in like the movie theater, but if it's, it's sold out.
Don't admit it.
If it's
Don't
sold out,
confess.
I'm going to move it.
Don't confess. I am highly disgusted your blatant sexism regarding taking up too much room in one seat on trains. I have witnessed more women taking up tons of space with their large handbags and packages than I have seen men spreading their legs taking up extra space. Yet I would never expect the MTA to choose a bigoted, gender-targeted campaign to denigrate just women who do such things.
Sounds like an MRA wannabe.
I think it is.
I would be totally fine with people saying no purse eating, no man spreading, if it would get that guy to shut up.
Just don't send any more mean messages.
Because people can point to the sign and be like, move your purse. And then I can point to the sign and be like, move your balls.
So after
Exactly.
this happened, what they're really trying to do is make the system more efficient. So Hunter College, a part of the SUNY system, did some work to find out what's going on. And they found out. So it was done in 2 phases, the fall of 2015 and spring of 2016. And they were assigned specific subway lines in order to determine what was happening. Altogether, nearly 100,000 passengers were observed during nearly 6,000 subway segments across 21 subway lines.
Wow.
Want to know what they found?
What did they
Lot of
find?
Spread.
The students found that almost no riders, male or female, eat on the subway. So all of the signs and campaigns about taking food on there, really it wasn't a problem. Just over 0.5% were observed chowing down. Likewise, pole hogging. I feel like that's a really bad thing in the South.
Why do I picture a pig in a dress and a pole?
Pole hogging was barely an issue either. With less than 3% of all standing riders engaged in behavior. Manspreading, however, was a widespread issue. According to the article, they did use the pun, and I love them for it.
That's funny.
Oh, I got her choked up.
Excuse me.
She choked up on my man spread.
Now I'm gagging. Close to 9% of 9% of seated male riders were observed sprawling their legs enough to compromise space for another rider. Oh, no, they didn't.
That's pretty damn wide.
That's a lot.
Now, manspreading wasn't as bad in crowded conditions, but if the space was there, men felt like they had the right to just take it on up. So when there was more room in the subway, the incidence was roughly 9% then. So it gets to be more when there is more room. It's like they just take up all the space.
That's because your balls are pushing your legs apart.
Nobody cares about your balls. This finding suggests that manspreading is not, listen here, Junior, is not a biologically based phenomenon due to the bodily dimensions of males. It's not about your balls.
They just haven't felt them.
No.
It's about a breeze up in there.
Nobody wants
That
to
feels
feel
good,
them
too.
either. Stop asking. It's not about your bodily dimensions, as some have argued, Mr. Wright. Rather, its occurrence appears to be situational and depends upon the population density of the riders in the car. You don't have to do it. You just want to do it. The data shows that as the load of cars rose from 5 or less passengers to 28 or more passengers, the share of female riders increased from 42% to 51%. It appears, therefore, that females were more inclined to ride in cars with a greater density of riders. So women only wanted to be in the cars that had more women in the cars.
Well, that makes
They didn't
sense.
want to be in the cars with you mean old man spreaders.
I wouldn't want to be in the cars with the mean old man spreaders either.
Is that like the duckbill thing at the OBGYN?
That's awful.
Yes, it is.
The speculum.
Yeah. Ugh. Bleh. No thanks.
This is a nasty-o episode.
It
Yep.
sounds like
Manny's manspreading.
Just you wait until the sketch. Oh, you're going to love it.
Oh, you'll
it's
understand
terrible.
what manspreading is during the sketch.
and you may
Okay.
throw up.
That's a pretty good place to put the
That's all the news I have.
safe word. We haven't sung that in a while.
What's
Yeah, you're already singing it. Bananas in pajamas.
Wait on me.
What?
Wait on me.
Okay.
Bananas.
1, 2. Oh, shit.
We suck.
Bananas in pajamas coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas coming in pairs. What? What just happened?
That was beautiful.
It was.
Do you have manspreading problems? Do I? No, not you. Men. Do you have manspreading problems?
You
bet we do.
Have you ever had this happen to you?
I want to establish my territory in this subway car, but physically, I just don't take up enough space.
Or this?
I'm an important man flying first class. More importantly, I'm a man. Why should I have to give up space for anyone, let alone a woman?
Or this?
I'm a dude on a bus, and I need to signal not only my social dominance, but also my sexual prowess. But my legs can only spread so far.
Mailman's Manny's spread has the solution for you.
What's Mailman's Manny's spread?
Shut up and I'll tell you.
Oh, sorry.
Mailman's Manny's spread is a thick, creamy paste with a powerful odor.
Oh God, what is that smell?
I'm going to vomit.
Mayonnaise is made from only the highest quality chemical substances, suspended in a stable emulsion, and then fermented in a climate-controlled environment specifically designed to enhance the aromas that make mayonnaise so powerful.
Is that sulfur?
You bet it is. That special blend of smells comes from a hefty dose of volatile sulfur compounds that help give it that note of bloated flatulence.
Oh, I can taste it at the back of my mouth.
That won't be the only place you'll taste mayonnaise. Along with our sulfur, we also add hefty doses of chemical acids, which help give Maleman's mayonnaise that special goaty aroma. Then we warm our viscous mixture to a temperature which allows bacteria to flourish.
Oh, jeez. That smells like a dumpster fire filled with dead cats.
To get Maleman's mayonnaise spread to work for you, simply keep the jar in a warm place on your body, like in your armpit or beneath your scrotal sac.
It smells like an explosion at a turkey farm.
Then take out the jar of mayonnaise and open it up. You'd be surprised how effective even an open jar will be.
Oh, don't open another one.
Then spread mayonnaise all over the environment you wish to claim with a spatula or butter knife. Mayonnaise works on upholstery, wood, and most industrial plastics.
It's like the hot, wet diarrhea of a skunk they threw up on an abandoned body farm.
It's burning my sinuses. I can taste it in my brain.
I told you so. With the pungent aromas of mayonnaise pummeling the olfactory sense of everyone around you, you'll never have problems man-spreading again.
Make it stop! Make it stop!
Oh God, I'm hallucinating. I see into eternity.
Mommy, can we go home now? Baby, don't feel good.
That's the Maleman's secret recipe at work.
It's like a wet dog shat out its guts after eating dirty diapers and sour milk.
It's like being buried under a beach towel on a hot day.
It's like a garbage truck plowed through a leper colony.
It's like,
Oh, for fuck's sake, we get it.
And how? Maleman's mayonnaise spread. You'll never have to worry about having enough space ever again because you'll have all the space.
Will mayonnaise work for women too?
Well, I suppose. I mean, not really our target demographic, but
Wonderful. Now I don't have to worry about guys rubbing up on me on the subway train or spreading their junk all over Bussy just to make them look more masculine.
again, that's not exactly how we designed Maleman's mayonnaise spread for...
But that's how I'm going to use it.
How can you stand that stench? It smells like a sewer rat gumbo.
it's like my dead grandma's shit in my mouth.
Should keep you away then. Here's to woman spreading the mayonnaise.
Whatever, as long as somebody buys our product.
It smells like a cat pissed all over the rotting corpse of a hobo monkey's afterbirth. Then set that afterbirth on fire, and then put out the fire by spray shitting a fish processing plant's runoff onto it.
Maleman's mayonnaise spread. We make man spreading right. Comes in both creamy and extra chunky. Thanks for listening to PSF, Promoting Secular Feminism. I'm Miss B. Haven, keeping the man spread out of your homestead.
And I'm Demanda Wright, and we'll see you next Tuesday.